Hello everyone, we are back and we now have the wonderful Grace Mouat, who we will do a little candid Q&A with on this sunny Friday morning. Hello Grace, how are you?
Hello!
How's things?
Really good, thank you. This is very cool doing it like this and like not being on YouTube. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's not pre-recorded, nothing like that, all live. So tell us a bit about you. Tell us about everything. Life, how you got
Tell us,
who
who are you?
Yeah, it's a bit of a whirlwind, hasn't it?
I know, it has been a bit. Right, so to introduce myself,
Yeah.
My name's Grace Mouat. I'm 24, originally from Surrey. Got a dog called Bonnie, and she's really annoying me today, so you might get a little show from Bonnie today. My pronouns are she and her. I'm currently in the cast of Juliet. Well, currently, obviously not. And before that, I was a swing and then an alternate and the dance captain in Six, the musical. And I did 15 months in the show, a 6-month tour and then a West End run. And then overlapped with Juliet, opened in Juliet in November last year. Oh my gosh, it's nearly going to be a year. Oh,
yeah.
So weird. But yeah, that's me really. What else about me? I have a YouTube channel and a podcast, and I like talking and doing fun things and making clothes and charity shopping and all that stuff and cooking. And that's me.
Vegan cooking, veggie cooking.
Oh, do you know what? It changes all the time, but labels aren't helpful. So
no, they're not. I realise that.
I call myself a veggie. We've been on the food journey. I remember you're one of my food Instagram's first followers, Liam.
Yes, I was. And
thank you, babe.
After speaking to you, I went vegan for a while.
Really?
Yeah, but then I realised, well, it just depends. I guess you can't really call it anything because I still don't drink milk, but then I'll eat cheese.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
That's exactly the thing. I don't have like milk or I have like almond milk and whatever. But then if I want some halloumi when I have a Nando's, I'm going to have it. If I want some chocolate, I'm going to have it.
Exactly. As long as you're doing what you can, that's the most
important.
Exactly. Yeah. Just before we go on to some questions that I have and things like that, just to let everyone know, you need to subscribe to the YouTube channel to allow to put comments into the section for us to ask Grace any of your questions.
Are there people here? I can't see on YouTube.
Yeah, we've got a couple of viewers in already. I mean, we've only been live for 3 minutes and I feel like we've chatted so much already.
I know, I've told you my whole life story.
So tell us a bit about like GSA and how you kind of got to GSA. How was your journey like throughout it and things like that?
Yeah, I just realised I didn't mention that I went to GSA. Everything else. So yeah, I went to GSA. So I am actually a hardcore GSA alumni because I went to the Saturday school from the age of like I think I was like 12. I went to the Saturday school, met some of my best friends for life there, and that was like my place. I loved it. And then I went and did the part-time course there, which was as well as the Saturday school, hardcore GSA. And so that was Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And that was when I was at sixth form. Then I did my auditions. I didn't get in anywhere. I always said to myself, I'm not going to audition for somewhere that I'm like, my heart isn't set on. And I think, and also I just didn't have the money because school auditions are expensive. So I was like, I'm going to give myself like 5 years. If like, I'll like go and explore. But because I am a local girl, to GSA, and then also I'd been seeing some shows at Arts Ed and some shows at Mount View, and I knew that I really liked what they produce. I was like, these are the schools I'm going to audition. So I didn't get in first year, didn't even get a recall for GSA the first year. Had a gap year. It was one of the best years of my life. And then I auditioned again. And I got in! And then I still moved out, even though I'm local, because I just wanted the unique experience. And I stayed in Guildford the whole 3 years, and it was so fun. And yeah, I loved it. I think, obviously, Liam was in first year when I was in third year. And I'm sure you can agree that I feel like GSA, I always say they don't just produce performers, like good performers, but they produce like good people, like good company members. They train you to, and I don't even think that's like that much instilled in the training. I think it's just more of the vibe of the school. It's just so
and the people.
It's tiny things that are down to like having year meetings and every single week. Like that isn't a regular thing. Having everyone singing happy birthday whenever it's someone's birthday, even if you don't know their name. Happy birthday to Laura. Do you know what I mean? It's like that kind of vibe, and I just loved it. And yeah, it's great. I love it.
Yeah, and that's what I think I've realised as well. I think they not only train you as a performer, they train you as a creative, as a, it's not, there's no set path for you to go down. And I think that's what's so important, especially now, is that life is about being a creative, not just about being this one strand of thing that, can only do one thing.
Yeah, 100.
Yeah.
Can we just appreciate that Josephine, All Hallows is the secondary school I went to, but half of the prom squad are sat in All Hallows common room watching this live. Oh, I love that so much. So I went to All Hallows, which is in Farnham, and I did a video message for their prom because their prom got cancelled, and so me and the 6 girls did a video message, and so that's why they're called the prom squad. So shout out prom squad.
Shout out to the prom squad. Yes. So when you were at GSA, what was your journey like kind of throughout third year and into this like industry?
What do you mean in terms of like
how did you go with like parts and showcase, and like, how did you kind of get stress, and then all of a sudden you booked a job which at that time was an Edinburgh Fringe job, and then all of a sudden you're stood on the West End covering 6.
Honestly, it was absolutely wild. So third year shows, my role, so they have like a point system thing at GSA. Liam knows all about it, all about the point system. It's got the graph, everything. So my role was like a supporting role, and it was a comedy soprano, and that was something that I was like, whoa, because my heart, like no one really knows this, but like my heart does lie in like legit musical theatre or like Disney princess singing. I feel like that's my vibe. Ended up in like 2 of the biggest pop musicals ever, but you know what, I wouldn't change it for the world. But so I was obviously like chuffed that I've got this like legit kind of role, but I wasn't really a soprano, so I like really drilled that in my third year. I was like boom boom boom, went to Stephen Luke Walker and Elisa and sorted out my soprano, and then that, like just doing that in third year, and it was like over a course of a few months, gave me so many opportunities that I never ever thought, and like developed my voice in such a weird way. So it was like things that I think I'm allowed to say. I was in like the finals for The King and I.
Yes, I remember that. I remember that.
And I was literally like, and I kept doing these rounds. I was like, how am I actually auditioning for a soprano role in Rodgers and Hammerstein musical right now? Like this is like 6 months ago. This is something I could have never achieved. And like that's not even me being like, I could have never done it. I generally couldn't sing that song. And now it just opened up a whole new door of like that, just that whole like soprano legit,
and also
a whole new world.
Voice in the contemporary sound as well, like
and then so that's when I started. I was auditioning for a few bits and bobs, and I was having a bit of an identity crisis. I was like, who am I? What am I? What am I doing? And I signed with an agent. I do think I rushed it a little bit, just because I was kind of in, you know exactly what it's like when you're in that mindset.
It's so hard because you know, everyone's signing, and then you're like, oh well, and
you're like, I need to sign, and exactly
stuff, and it's just it's difficult.
Exactly. And I, looking back, I know that now, but I do understand why I did it, because there was things coming around that I wanted to be in for, and like I knew some people were meeting these people, and so, you know, everything's like so I signed, and I was like auditioning quite a lot. It didn't work out, and then I re-signed, so that was like a massive thing in third year. But I think that was just like my lesson learned. I just don't do it that quick. And it was when I was auditioning for Six, and I was doing Showcase, and Julian, I went and had a meeting with Paling and Jenkins, who are my current agents. And we were chatting, and I had an email. They offered me representation. I had an email from my head of year, Julian, being like, can you ring me ASAP? And I was like, oh my God, I think this is about Six. Shall I ring him? And Stephen was like, yeah, go on. And so I was like in this meeting. And I rung Julian, and Julian was like, you've just had an offer from Six. And I was like, really? What? I was like, as who? And he was like, because I was in for, I'd only sung for Anne Boleyn and Cleves, but then I'd also done my pop song as well. And they're like, they want you to be the swing. And I was like, I was like, are you sure? I was like, are you sure it's me? And like, I kept being like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And he was like, I've literally got it in writing in front of me. And then me and Stephen were like jumping around the room, like, woo! But like, bearing in mind, like, this was when I was thinking it was going to be a 6-month tour of a brand new show. No one really knew anything about it. This was before it even existed. Yeah. Like, it did exist, but not this production. Like, we were the first cast to create this production. So I was like, woo, this is going to be fun. Like, doing a brand new musical, like, this is going to be quite fun. Little did I know what it was going to turn into. And then Maya. And then I was going to a concert. Sorry, this is such a long-winded story. I was going to a concert that night to watch my friends who went to Tring, and Maya was there as well. And I was like, because Maya had been given an offer in the audition room, and they literally just said to her in the audition, we want you in the show, we just don't know as who yet. And I went to the thing, and I was like, because Maya thought she was going to be the swing, because she was in for all of the roles. And I went in, and I was like, Maya, I've been offered Six. I've been offered the swing. She was like, what? Because she was like, I'm so confused. I must be like one of the queens then. And then the next day she got the offer through for Catherine Parr. So it was really nice. It was just so nice, like going through that whole thing with Maya. Like, I'm just so forever grateful for her, because like it just being able to do the whole of
it's scary to go into a job, especially doing a job that, like, you know, you had not trained. You don't train to be a swing, you know. You train to perform.
Or a dance captain.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, you know, and especially at GSA, I think it's something that's not kind of like instilled in the training as such.
No. So that was a massive thing. Yeah.
So then how did you kind of manage from, you know, starting out with like no swing training or dance captain training to like, you know, being on the West End and covering 6 female tracks? Yeah.
Well, I was very lucky, because in second year we did a production of Spring Awakening with Christian Durham, who did the live before me, and an incredible choreographer, Jane, and I was her dance captain, and that was like a bit of an experience into it, because I would just like run cleaning rehearsals, and you know, it wasn't like anything massive. It was just to have someone to like sort out the choreo, because we had no time. so I had a bit of experience with that. So I felt pretty good in that. And I was aware of like some of the things that you have to take in mind and stuff. And yeah, that I wasn't as stressed about that as I was swinging it. With being a swing, so I found out I was doing it. I was like, right, okay, I need to find out how to be a swing. So I started speaking to my agent, Debbie, who literally swung for years and years in the West End. Like, she was Mrs. Swing. And she like spoke to me about it, told me about like swing Bibles and learn. And everyone I was speaking to, so spoke to her and a few other friends who I knew who'd done it. And they all said, oh, just learn one track and then the rest will kind of come into place, like in the rehearsal room. And I was like, okay, cool. But it's all very well and good. And I think that is the best way to do it. But the majority of people, like swinging on 6 is just like, it's completely different. It's more like covering. It's more like understudying. Because with swinging, it's usually the swings that are off stage and then they cover the ensemble and the ensemble cover the leads. But this is like you're just covering 6 leads. So I started doing learning like Howard and Cleves just by random choice in the rehearsal room. And then I just found myself really struggling. And the way I would kind of do it is I had them in my main focus brain for rehearsals. But we'd learn a number that day. And then I'd go home to my little Guildford house in Linwood and I'd get my controller and I'd do the number we learnt that day as every single queen. So I'd get the video, watch. Okay, I'm going to do it as Howard and just do it in my lounge. But then, because it's a brand new musical, things are changing all the time. So every time there's one change, that would be 6 changes for me. So I'd have to go home and do the whole thing again. So basically, all in all, I had no social life or sleep for 4 weeks. But what was I saying? Oh, yeah. And then I spoke to my choreographer, Carrie Ann, who is like the dream. And I was like, Carrie, freaking out. I don't know how to do this. My brain.
It's frazzled.
Yeah, she just said, listen, Grace, you're just going to have to learn them all at the same time. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
So I did, and I just cracked on. I got on with it. I kept myself in the corner, did what I had to do, and I just got on with it, and it was fine. And like, I think the thing is, like, rightly so, and this isn't me saying like no one had the time, but 6 for covers is very different now. They all have techs and sound checks and dress rehearsals and things like that. But when I did it, I didn't even have a dress rehearsal. I had a sound check. I ran No Way, and then I did 2 shows. Like, it was like, and like it was just ridiculous. And every now and then, like, Carrie was amazing. She'd be like, we'd learn like No Way, for example, and then she'd be like, okay, Grace, you tag in for Millie, or Grace, you tag in for Natalie. And then Natalie or Millie would like stand at the front, and I'd be doing it like, and then it'd be like, and I'd be like, oh, okay. But honestly, I look back at the rehearsal videos from when I used to tag in, and I'm like, oh, honestly, they must have been watching it like, why have we hired this girl? She is awful. Because I'm just there like, ah. And it's not only like remembering your track, but also like, this sounds so like, but like feeling the energy of a group. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because all the girls like made these bonds and like this energy on stage and little moments and stuff. But like, because there's people in and out all the time, and like every queen is different every night, like you just can't, you have to just bounce off of it and be like, okay, give me this, I'm going to give you that. And like, but yeah, it was just one of the hardest things I've ever done. And that's, I'm just going to say it. Like, gotta keep it real.
Vocally, you know, each queen again is completely different. So like taking away the dance steps and everything else, how was it to kind of think, you know, because you would sometimes just shoved on 5 minutes before a show and like off you went and you were in a costume. I remember watching you when you came on for Mouat halfway into the show.
We can't talk about that. Do you know what? Like, that was actually the most ridiculous thing I've ever done. It actually didn't happen ever again. But the one time it did, I decided to bring chocolate milk into work. And I was in my dressing room drinking the chocolate milk. I was like, why the one day I bring in the chocolate milk to work do I get thrown on for Catherine Parr? And I'm literally chocolate milk in hand, get knock on the door, no makeup on. I'm like, oh. And then the other time that like, it's always when people in the audience as well.
Because I remember we was in Pizza Express and you were like to me, oh yeah, it's just so sad that you've not seen me like go on yet. And we were like, come back. And little did we know that you were going to be on
It's
screen.
Always when people are in the audience. And then it's like, and then there was another one. There's Jack, who's at GSA now. I went because he's living in my old house, and I went into the house, and I was looking on the wall, and he's got like tickets, and I was like, oh my god, did you see me in 6? He was like, yeah, I came to see you, and you like walked in like 5 minutes before the show started with like a drink and like no makeup and whatever, and then you came out as Cleves, and I was like, that was what I was thrown on at beginners. So basically, anyone who ever ends up as a swing out there, just get a base on. Like, that's all I can recommend. Get your foundation
ready at all points.
Get your brows on, just in case. I'm not saying give it full on glitter, but you don't want to go on there looking how I did on those few occasions when I was thrown on last minute, because it wasn't cute. I didn't look like a pop star. But yeah, vocally it was like, well, I'd always join in warm up.
Yeah.
So I'm always ready. And I took the dance warm up, so I'm always ready. But I was Joe Bayton, who is our musical supervisor. He would do like, he did a couple of sessions with me in rehearsals just to like find my riffs. So like, because like, for example, all of our voices are so different, and I can't give it like truthfully. Do you know what I mean? That's not my thing. And like all of the whistle tones, and then like all this stuff. So like, we just found a few different bits that were suited for me. Yeah, and then like when Courtney and Vicky joined, they did the same thing, and now everyone like has their thing, and it's nice. That's what keeps it cool. What keeps it different, because you'll go and see like a different Arrogant, and then they'll do like something different. You're like, yes, and then like the next time you'll go see someone do. You know what I mean? And it's
and I think that's the joy about the musical as well, because it, you know, there's nothing to state anywhere that like any certain character should be played in this way. You know, should be sang in this way, or should look this way. Like it's so lovely because there's no specifics. Yeah, and you watch it every time, and it could be a different person every time, but it still works. Which is why I love the musical so much. So then you went into Juliet whilst being in 6.
Yeah,
you seem to have these crazy rehearsal periods at all points.
I know, why me? Honestly. And then I was like, oh, like nothing will ever be as hard as this. And then we went and put on hair in 3 days. Yeah. I'm just like, give me a normal rehearsal. No, I'm joking. It's great. I love it. I love things that like keep me like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got Juliet. It's so crazy, and a lot of people are like really shocked when I say this, but I got Juliet in November 2018. So when I was in London on tour with 6. So we hadn't even started the West End run. And I got it, and I was freaking out a bit because we got offered the West End run, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to have to make this decision between like waiting loads of months and not being in 6.
Yeah.
And then I'm honestly forever grateful to Kenny Wax and Andy and George, who produced 6, and Wendy, who let me leave 6 early to go and be in Juliet. And they said I had to leave at the very last minute, so I literally left 2 days before we went to Manchester and did the whole rehearsal period doubling up. But I'm very grateful that I even had that opportunity to finish my contract early. So I found out, and I didn't tell the girls because I wanted to like get the contract signed and make sure that it was happening. And then I told them when we were in Salford, when we went to Wagamama's. And when we were in Manchester, and I told Millie first because we were living together. And I was like, Millie, we got a job and I'm leaving. And she was like, oh my God, like that's so great. And like I could tell she was like quite sad because I was leaving because we were so close on the show. And and then I kind of I'd already told Maya. I told Maya as soon as I got it, but I just said don't say anything. And then I told the girls, and I remember Lex being like, it's the end of an era. Because we were just all so close. But anyway, so I got to open with Six in West End, and then Anne Juliet did a workshop which was 5 weeks in February. And I was doing Monday to Saturday Anne Juliet, and then Tuesday to Sunday 6. So I was doing 10 till 6 Anne Juliet, and then I'd get on my scooter, scoot over to the Arts, and they very kindly let me miss warm up because warm up was at 6, I think. 6:30, can't remember. And I would come in, like say hello to everyone, like, but sometimes I'd be in such a rut or such a rush that I'd scoot on over, get my face on, and then I'd see people for the first time, like behind the curtain. I'm like, hello, rehearsals are really good. Let's do a show. Divorced. I was like, so I tried to like make an effort to like go around, say hello to everyone, like look people in the eye. And it's something that I want to try and take on because it's sometimes really hard to do. And just thinking about that, Alex, who's in Anne Juliet, like he does it. He goes around and says hello to everyone in warm up. And I do actually think it's very important. We should all do that more. But anyway, I'm sidetracking. So I did that. That was 5 weeks, hardest 5 weeks of my life. And then I went back to Six full time, and then started rehearsals in July for Anne Juliet, like properly. Again, did the same doubling up, Monday, Saturday, Tuesday to Sunday. And then by that time I was on every night. So it was cray. And there was a heat wave as well. So that was really great. I had literal, like my skin broke out so much because it was just so sweaty, and I was like doing my makeup in my lunch break of Anne Juliet, and then like getting really sweaty and like, oh, it's just gross. That's just part of it. And then and then I left Six on the 18th of August, which was a Sunday, and then I went for a drink after the show, and then went straight back to rehearsals on Monday morning. So I didn't really have time to like process anything that happened because, I kind of came in and everyone was saying like, oh, how was last night? And I was like, yeah, it was really good. But like, then we were going, and I was like, I didn't have like any time to be like, whoa, that 15 months of my life just happened.
Yeah. And something that made you like so successful as well. Do you know what I mean? Like something that kind of established you as a performer. All of a sudden you were like, let's have a drink, see ya, and you were into rehearsals the next day, and you realised that's sometimes how the world works, because you could, then we're in this climate where there's no job for anybody. I think it's times like this now where you then get to reflect on.
Exactly.
I'm so thankful, and and you can actually then sit down and thank people for.
And I did. There's like a video of me that I put. I didn't put the whole thing on, but I did like a reaction video to my last day. And there's a video where our dresser had like come off with loads of like Prosecco glasses to do a little cheers after the show. And I am just full on breaking down. And I'm like, I'm so tired. And when I have a minute, I'll like write to you all when I've like digested everything that's happened, but I love you. And I just like wrote them all a letter and like put a picture on it just to like say how, because all of them are just like, they were just so brilliant, and I learned so many like different things from all of them. So I just had to like take a hot sec to like thank each of them individually. Honestly, I was a hot mess.
But then I think, and it is crazy, but I think that's the joy about this industry, is that you never actually know when you're going to be out of work. So you've just got to take it all aboard while it happens. But then you overwhelm yourself so much that sometimes you are just like, stop just for a minute, and especially when you were working 8 days a week. Like,
who
works 8 days a week? But and then like being in Juliet, is that a lot different to 6 in terms of, you know, vocals and now only covering one track? Do you know what I mean? How does that feel?
Yeah.
And how different is that?
Yeah, it's obviously there's like things that are like such a blessing and it's way easier. So like only having one track to cover. And then having my own ensemble track, my own harmony line. And I just get to like create that myself, and that was fun. But and Juliet, for me, covering Juliet has been just way harder, just because of the pressure of the role. It's like the title role for a start, and the story revolves around your story, and you carry the show. And then obviously the vocals, like it's not even like how high it is, it's more how much it jumps around. Like you'll be singing something really soft and low and nice, and then you'll be like belting like G's, and then you're like on a balcony, and then there's like a quick change and explosions, and you're singing a massive high note, and it's like it's just a lot going on. Like, and then at the same time it's a really tech heavy show, so there's like certain things you just have to remember, like when you go up in the chandelier or the signals and things like that, and and like the revolve, it's a lot going on. Whereas with 6, like absolutely not saying it's easy, because it was like one of the hardest things ever, but you know, you're in your costume, you get zipped up, you get on that 75-minute train, and then you get off. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, whereas Juliet is kind of always going boom, 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 always. And you
like, just go off to get your House of Holbein costume on, and then come back.
Oh yeah, we do go off to get our House of Holbein rough. Yeah.
But like, and I guess that's very different to Juliet, because Juliet's so crazy with like the costumes and the lights. And everything.
And it's one of those things that like, if you're feeling a tiny bit off, it's just not worth doing it. It's not worth like putting yourself through that pressure, because it's just so much. But like, that is what I love about it, and it's just been the best thing ever. I just love it.
And how do you like kind of cope with the pressure of, you know, like let's say Miriam was off and you knew you were going on for like 2 weeks, let's say, and then all of a sudden you were like, I'm actually not feeling well, and do you know what I mean? And how do you think this is actually time for me to go off, even though it's kind of in your head my time to shine as the leading lady?
Yeah, I personally, especially having like Danielle, who's one of my best friends, who would have been the cover if I went off, I would never stop myself. I think it's very wrong to stop yourself going off.
Yeah.
Because even if you feel ill, like if I feel ill, I'm gonna go off, and that's the end of it. Like, I'm not gonna put myself through that. Number one, because I don't want to embarrass myself trying to sing Katy Perry with a cold or with a sore throat or with coronavirus, like what I had. And also number two, like, that's what covers are for. Like, why would you not go off? You know what I mean? It just doesn't.
Swings come in and cover the other tracks. And
so I just went off when I felt ill, because I knew something wasn't right, and it wasn't even that because I came into work feeling great, and it wasn't even that I had like a cough or whatever and I had a sore throat. I just felt weird, and then being in bright lights, and I just got this massive headache, and I was like, oh, I've got to go off. And and I remember that show so well, because it was the one that got cancelled. I was so upset. I was like, it's all my fault. But it was just a matter of fact. Like, I did it, and I was like, something's not right. I've got to go home. And I'm glad that I've learned that. And I think maybe from being a cover before is what taught me that you have to do that. Because I had like one day off in 6, and it was the day that Toby came back, and that just shows like the pressure of feeling like you always have to be on as a cover. So I've kind of like, I'm quite proud of myself for like losing that.
Because it is, you know, because you're all performers, so if you're not feeling okay, then so you should be able to be the one going on.
Exactly. And I think I've been quite lucky. I've got quite a good immune system, touch wood. And I just don't go off that much. If I've been off for an injury once, but I just love it so much that I don't know, I just don't really go off. But yeah, I think there is obviously a lot of pressure around it, and I know exactly what you mean. But luckily, and also like we didn't do that much of it. Like maybe if I got a bit more worn out, I'd probably go off a bit more because I'd be like, my voice is gone. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. And then you obviously and Juliet closed because of COVID, like the whole of the West End, unfortunately. But you then went into hair at the Turbine.
I did. Oh my goodness.
So fun.
It was so fun.
Tell us about that. Tell us about how kind of that all came about and what kind of got to be an outdoor piece of theatre.
I can't really remember. Oh, so I got a message from Paul, and he was like, "Are you free on this week?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you want to come do hair?" And he was like with me and Eileen, and basically on tour on 6. Obviously Katie Richardson's our MD, but Eileen McNaught also is the MD. She does the tour now, and she was like our dep, but then also MD does for a bit, and she's amazing. And I was like, "Oh my god, Eileen from 6, I love her." Like, and he's like, "No, Eileen Phillips." And I was like, "What?" And I was just so shook. I was like, "Oh my god, this is so cool." And then, you know, people chat, and it all like you find out. I found out who else was doing it, and I was just absolutely buzzing. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this group of people is like great. Like everyone is just a legend." And then we made a little group chat because we were all freaking out because we all got sent the material, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh," because we only had 3 days to rehearse, but we did it. I don't even know how we did it, and honestly, like it was just the group of people. We gelled so well, and I think it probably helped that like we all kind of had some kind of connection to each other. We all kind of knew each other, like, but kind of, like we had mutual friends and things like that. And I think that helped a bit. And I think that's the way of any show nowadays. Like everyone knows everyone, you know what it's like. But we just had such a laugh. And Eileen is the biggest sweetheart ever. The whole team were amazing. Paul was amazing. And we just, we did it. We got the costumes and we just cracked on. And we were very lucky. The dress rehearsal, we had an open dress and it was raining literally before it started. And then all of the rest of the shows were fine and dry. And it was literally like someone was on our side. But yeah, it was incredible doing like a show outside and doing on the Thames and like looking over the water in the city and stuff. But it was kind of like, I couldn't help sometimes but like feel really angry because I'd look up at the sky and I'd be like, why are we outside? Like, why
is it
doing this? Like angry at like the government for not giving us the support that we need, because I was like, we should be in a theatre right now. Like, obviously not right now, but like sooner rather than later. We should have more support. We should because seeing the audience faces and how much they were just so happy to be back in a chair watching some live.
And you don't, I think you just, as an audience, you get to a point where you're like, I honestly don't care where I'm watching live theatre, I just want to watch it, you know?
Yeah. And so many of my friends, I don't know about you, were like really cold, and they were like, I just didn't care because I was just watching. I was just happy.
Shivering in my chair, but I was just so like amazed by what I was seeing. And it, you know, when you're just, I think because you get the opportunity to see it and you're just like, I don't care what's going on. But even if it rained, you know, I wouldn't cancel because I just want to sit and enjoy it. And I do. I think that, you know, it's sad that the government aren't supporting us, but I think it's important that as an industry, you know, people are starting to create and, you know, and there's so many different things happening now.
It's just annoying about the timing because obviously, like, it's coming into winter. I'm not going to be sitting on the Thames in the freezing cold.
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah, I feel like September, you know, kind of pushing it, but now, no.
Yeah. No, we need unless you're like on a heated seat or something. something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and you know, and I think that's kind of where the industry is at the moment, and we've kind of just got to accept it, haven't we? And be kind of thankful
100%.
that there's people supporting it. Not everyone, but most people, you know.
But also just being grateful that there's people like who just make stuff happen, like you, for example, doing all the GradFest stuff. Like you just get on with it, and you're like, I don't care what. Well, not you don't care, but
I think that's, you know,
what the climate is.
My point of being a creative, and you know, and you took that on board, and which moves on to kind of my next point. But you've moved, like, you know, you've got your YouTube channel and you've got the podcast, and you know, you are doing a lot more that isn't just your one stream of work that, you know, you've wanted to do your whole life. And I think that's what COVID has taught everybody, is that we, you know, there's other things that we can do and that bring us joy and happiness.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So kind of tell us how the YouTube and the podcast came about and like what it is.
Yeah. So YouTube had been something I'd been umming and ahhing like literally before COVID even existed. Just because I would absolutely love to be a presenter one day, like later on in life. Mm-hmm. I just love it. You know, I love talking. So like, it feels like a like good career path. So I was kind of thinking of ways like how I can get into that, like how I can kind of start my journey in that. And I was like, well, YouTube is a good start. Get me used to being in front of a camera, used to speaking. And I just went for it. And I was like, do you know what? And like, I was like weighing up the pros and cons. I was literally backstage in the wings all the time, annoying everyone so much because I was being like, yeah, but then like, what if this happens? And like, but then I also really want to do this because of this. And like, and all of the pros were like, I want to document memories. I want to encourage myself to do like things that I enjoy and things that are fun and like not take life too seriously. Yeah. It would be like a cool space for like my following to like come and just have a laugh and like forget everything that's happening in the world and just be silly, and like a fun, happy, friendly space where people connect. And then like all of the cons were just so outweighed by the pros, because it was all things like, oh, but what if people like think I'm weird, and what if people don't like me, and what if people think and I was like, if they don't like me, if they think I'm weird, I don't want them to subscribe. I don't want them to watch me, like, because I don't want that energy in, this is my channel, like, get out. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I was just like, oh, do you know what, I'm gonna do it because life's too short. And it just like it's going really well, and it's really nice, like creating like a little mini community, and like people like chat to each other in the comment sections, and I always read it and I'm like, that's really cute. And it's things like that I love. And then I'd been working with a manager at a really cool like digital talent management entertainment, I guess, called Gleam. And they have some incredible people. Like, I literally like, what am I doing here? But people like Zoella and like Grace Beverly, Gemma Stiles, like very cool people. And we were working together, and I was kind of saying about like, I think I'm going to start, like, I'd only just started YouTube, and I was like, I want to do some like interview series and like check, because all of my friends, I have so many people, interesting people in my life with such amazing stories to tell, not even just about like musical theatre, but just about life, and like, you know what I mean, like interesting people. And I find like, for me, having a good chat or like a good like conversation with my friend over a coffee or whatever makes me feel the same benefits as like a 20-minute guided meditation session, like, or like a journaling session. I like talking, and like talking things out is like my therapy. So I was like, I think I'm going to start like an interview series and like, you know, showcase my awesome friends. And then she was like, well, why don't you do a podcast? Because she'd mentioned it before, and I was like, whoa, I've just started my YouTube channel, like, calm down. No, I wasn't, but like, I was like, I can't do that many things. And I thought about it, and I was like, do you know what? If I'm going to do this, I might as well just do the podcast. Anyway, long story short, sent it off to some hosting platforms, thinking nothing of it, because like they were sending them off to some really crazy platforms, like, and the one that picked mine up was Acast, who do like Deliciously Ella's and like My Dad Wrote Porno, like all these really big podcasts. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is actually happening then. And I got a few interviews under my belt with like Alice Fur, Marisha Wallace, Ollie Thompson and Ivan and Nathan. I got them done and then started releasing them. And it went down really well. And like, I was speaking to, because Kerry Ellis has her own podcast as well, and she recently came on mine. And we were speaking about it, and it's just like a really nice, see, the podcast community is just really nice. And I think it is because like everyone who does podcasts are like big talkers, like everyone loves a chin wag. So like everyone it's just really nice. And I've been loving it. And it's like quite stressful every now and then when I'm like, because I edit them myself, but then I kind of like co-produce it, I guess, with Acast. So I upload it and then they sort all the rest out. They do all the, and thank God they do, because I have no idea about self-releasing, and I'd love to learn about it like one day, but I'm very lucky to have Acast to like help me because I'm not good at that stuff. But it's just been fun, and I just did it because, like, as I said, I have interesting friends, and I was having this thing where I kept doing these interviews, and it was just like, what's your biggest onstage mishap? What's your favorite Queen to play? What's your favorite song in Six? And I'm like, there's only so many times that I can answer these questions. And don't get me wrong, like I'm always up for an interview in like a theatre blog thing. I love them. I think they're amazing. But I just think that actors have so much more substance as people, and like we have interests, and like I have such a big love for like sustainable fashion and skincare, and my friend is like a music artist, my other friend has her own business doing this, and like we have so much to talk about. Like we're not just like Grace from Six or Alice from Wicked or Ollie from and Juliet. Like we have our own things. Like Ollie and Ivan, we speak loads about them going from being West End stars to full-time maths tutors for their kids. Like it's like, and that's the kind of thing I want to kind of show people and have on my podcast. And it's super informal. Like Toby listens to it, and he said to me the other day, he was like, I feel like I want to join in. And I find myself, because he puts his AirPods on and then just cracks on, and he's like, I find myself being like, oh yeah, and then I realize I'm not in the conversation. So it is very much like me just having casual chat with my friends. I don't do like question number one. And I think that's the best way to be, because that's the kind of podcast that I like listening to. So yeah, that's that really. And it's like social media is a whole new world, as I'm sure you know. And it's been really interesting, like delving into it. And I do really want to kind of, because I feel like I'm on a roll with my podcast now. Like it's good. And if I miss a week, like everyone's very supportive and they don't leave me. They'll come back and like I'll catch up on the episodes they've missed. But YouTube, I'm trying to be a little bit more consistent and like get a bit more going on there, because I'm not good at it.
And it's just hard, because like even then when you did hair, like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've got 6 days of my life taken up. I'm like, and you know, when 3 weeks before that, when you were going to put in your diary like, oh yeah, I'll do a little video here, and then all of a sudden something pops up and you're like, what? And that's why, like, and I like, some people think of like weekly vlogs as quite like boring, like people don't really get it. But honestly, there is nothing I love more than watching someone's like morning routine or like what they do in their week. And like they literally will be going to Sainsbury's. Like a haul.
A haul. Like I just love normal things. Normal things are the best things. And so sometimes I feel a bit weird, like picking up my vlog and picking up my camera and being like, okay, so today I've like got this new thing, but then people do find it interesting. Some people, I hope. So
nosy as well.
I'll say that again.
Because I'm so nosy. I'm like,
nosy. Like there's nothing I love more than what someone bought at HomeSense. So yeah, I just love a vlog. I love a vlog. And like the odd challenge every now and then, like I did a few challenges for my parents, and like they're really fun and I want to do more of them. But for now, while I'm really busy, I'm kind of just picking it up whenever something interesting happens ish and putting it all together. So yeah, it's kind of like a place to be like, if you want to watch it. If not, then don't worry. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
And then stuff about like, you know, your other interests, which you covered as well, like, you know, sustainable fashion and things like that. What got you into sustainable fashion? I mean, because that's something that I think, you know, we're all suckers for going to like Topshop and Zara and, you know, just buying what's on. But then people find absolute bargains somewhere, and like,
I love a bargain. So I guess like I've always kind of been me and my best friend Brian Murray.
Yes.
He and my friend Rebecca Ridout. So they are like eco warriors, and they inspired me years ago, like to just get on my stuff in terms of like sustainability, so things like recycling and using a mug instead of getting cups, and like using water bottles instead of buying plastic bottles and things like that. And then I kind of like, obviously I talk about this in my first thrift flip vlog. I just spoke about like there's so much time to like Google stuff because we're on lockdown, like, and I was just Googling random stuff, and I was reading up about this fast fashion, and I have kind of like I've realized how bad it is, and I kind of like trying my absolute best to shop secondhand, vintage and charity shops, but I'm kind of like, because I was getting really strict about it, and I was like, and then with all the thrift flipping and like making my own stuff, that just kind of happened because I was bored and I had a sewing machine. And I was like, why not? And I found that I really enjoyed it. But I do think like saying this right now, like it's exactly the same what we're talking about just now, like being veggie or vegan, like labels are just and so bad. And like when I said to myself, I'm going to be vegan, and then I ate chocolate or whatever, because I love it, I'd like be like, that's why I think like, obviously like
everyone else around you is like, aren't you vegan?
Exactly. And I'm like, oh, am I? I don't know. And like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be eating mince pies at Christmas. I'm going to be loving them. Like, but I think it's just like a commitment that you've just got to try the best. And if you like, so like, for example, we're doing the reunion and Misguided dressing us, and like I'm not going to turn around and be like, well, actually Misguided, I've boycotted fast fashion, so I'm not going to let you give me a free outfit. Obviously not. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be like, yes, give me that like spicy outfit. But do you know what I mean? It's things like that you just can't be too like about it. And if you need something and you literally can't find it, and things like pajamas, activewear, underwear, like I'm not going to get secondhand. I'm just not. So it's about finding like affordable, sustainable places elsewhere. And like things like I bought some bed sheets the other day from Urban Outfitters, like, and I didn't feel bad about it because I needed them. And I'm not going to buy secondhand bed sheets. Like I'm just not. So I think it's just about being like, just a bit more conscious and trying your best, and like, and also not like just just avoiding like mindless consumerism, because you might be in a shop and be like, oh my god, there's this really nice jumper, and then go home and realize you've got something just like it in your wardrobe that you haven't looked in for years, like, and then you're like, oh my gosh, like I need to wear this. So it's just about assessing like what you've already got and like things like that. And I don't think I personally have never been anyone to be like, preach, you must do this, you must do that. I'd never, ever like be that person. So I think it's just like, just taking steps to.
But I think that's how when I was a vegan, I kind of found my way into it just by having an open conversation with people about why are you actually, like, what is it that made you vegan? Like, what do you know?
Because a lot of people, it's not even about the earth or the animals, it's about being healthy.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you realize, like, if you just have an open, honest conversation with somebody about it, you're more likely to, you know, kind of teach them the ways than just be like, well, animals this, animal, you know, and by shooting on people's thoughts, they're never going to get it.
Exactly. And also, like, half the thing with like secondhand shopping, I do that not only because of like the benefits of it, but also just because it's fun. Like, it's really fun finding an outfit from a charity shop and being like, yeah, well, actually, this Karen Millen cardigan was only £8, and it was actually on the website for 120. So, do you know what I mean? And like, I just feel really smug, and I create these looks, and I'm like, yeah, I'm head to toe secondhand today, and you will think that I've got this outfit from Topshop. You know what I mean? I think it's quite fun. So that's part of the reason I do it. It's not even just because of the benefits for the earth. It's literally just because I like it.
and it's fun to do as well. It's fun to go and get clothes from charity shops and look around. Cheap. Yeah, exactly. But yes, there's been a lot of comments throughout the video. And if anyone does have any questions, feel free to post. My last question for you is just about kind of where to find, obviously, all your socials and things like that will be in the description below. But like, if you do any one-to-ones or, you know, classes and things like that people can come to, let us know. Yeah.
So it's literally just gracemouatworkshops@hotmail.com. I have a email address. So, and that's for like one-to-ones, any schools that want to get in touch. Because I've been doing loads of workshops over lockdown. And I can do Zoom, but I also drive, and I also go to London, so I can like come to your schools. But yeah, that I literally just do it all off of that website, that email.
Amazing. And then if anyone wants to listen to Grace speak on Cut to the Grace YouTube channel, if you find my voice really annoying, I wouldn't listen to it because I just chat and chat and chat. Yes, but thank you for coming on today and chatting and
thank you, Liam.
Candid Q&A.
Hello, I love
it. And I will see you soon around. And
I know. Are we coming off? Am I answering questions?
There's actually a question. I'm trying to think what. Can you see the questions on your screen as well?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of stuff, lots of comments that were made like throughout the video about just kind of reaction comments.
If you had to retrain to find a new job, what do you think you'd do? Probably maybe working with animals. I work with animals, even though I am allergic, or or maybe like some kind of counselor.
Yes, I love that.
Really. Yeah, that's it.
That's the answer.
But I've just realized we're nearly on an hour. I can't believe we've been speaking so long.
Honestly, it feels like it's been about 20 minutes.
I hope you got some interesting things in there.
Yeah, I could chat to you all day though.
I know. Well, we will on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on today and chatting with me and being interesting as always.
I've got a story to tell.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, I will see you around. I'll see you soon. And
yeah, I love the blonde, by the way. Were you blonde when you came to hair?
No.
Yeah, I thought so. I love it.
It was very spontaneous. So yeah.
Got to do lockdown, babes.
Lockdown. I know. I needed it.
Oh, I love you, Liam.
Lots of love, darling.
Thanks for having me.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in to Gracie's podcast. No, that's not the right word. To coming on to the Candid Q&A this morning. And join us back at 1 p.m, which is in half an hour, for Salsa with Eddie, which is a regular class. So if you'd like to join in, please feel free, and I will see you all